Golding? Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call the May 23rd, 2017 Wright County Board to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming this morning. A little bit of feedback on that, Lee. Is that okay?
No, they're just they're trying to improve the sound.
Improve the sound? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there, so everyone can hear me well.
What did you say?
We'll entertain a motion here to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve as written.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I do have a little change.
Okay, sure. Is
Under,
this
actually, the advisory committee, advisory,
which page?
I'm sorry, page 6.
Page 6.
Yep.
Okay.
Under the crime lab meeting. It would be the third line from the bottom. Starting at the consensus of the crime lab meeting is that this scientist would be funded by all the counties. So in other words, it looks like we're adding a scientist, but we're in fact not. We're just bringing the latent print scientist
From
into
Anoka County to this organization.
the whole, yep, to all 3 counties.
Susan, did you get that one? Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any changes?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
thank you. On page 4 of 7, under Alan Wilczek's report for the facilities director with the roof replacement, Public Works, it's the contractor's name is Dalsin, not Dalsun. It's Dalsin. Let's put it a couple places in there just for clarification.
Okay, we're good with that one too?
And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewson with the 2 corrections there. Any other thing? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review and approval of the agenda for today.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm going to break the record here. I'd like to add on letter from the coalition with letters for senators and congressmen in support of the I-94. We've got support letters here, and we'll make sure a copy of this is for the press also, to approve, for us to sign this and send them off to the, thanking them for the consideration and trying to make this move forward.
Okay. Is this going to take action then, Mike?
This is just signatures.
I guess it would take action.
Action, it probably would be an action item.
Okay. And you okayed this through Susan?
Is that letter D then?
B?
D, on timed items.
It'll be under items for
You could do it as an item for
Item
consideration.
for
also.
consideration, okay.
Or we'll put it as B and take your item second.
Okay.
It's logistically easier for our side. So.
Clarify that?
Kreiser had just mentioned moving the closed session discussion to be second. But logistically, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing on our end. If you just put it as item B, it works a lot easier on revising the agenda. So,
Okay.
so we can take those out of order.
Okay, that's
So,
fine. All right. And you want to make a motion with that item changed then, Mike?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the one item.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll go, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda for today. Commissioner Vetch, I understand you had an item you'd like
Yes.
to remove for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull off item number L, the Sheriff's Office position replacement for discussion.
Okay, and then you want to make a motion to approve the rest with that removed?
Yep.
Okay.
That's great.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delighten to approve the consent agenda with the item L removed. Anyone else? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Commissioner Vetch, go ahead. Go ahead. and you
Go
can-
ahead. Well, I was just looking at, we haven't had any discussions as a group a little bit, but I think this is a good opportunity with item number L to talk about maybe putting it to a personnel committee of the whole to talk about maybe whether we need to backfill this position or not. I just think it'd be a good chance for us to at least brainstorm at least a little bit of what we have as far as the staffing on that side. Not that it's at the department to make sure that we have the adequate. I'm not saying whether we do or don't. I just think it's just a discussion point.
And I'm just like, I don't know if I would know enough if,
Well,
I just want them to at least present to it as to what they have for their management staff. I just don't think we've ever, had, I being new, haven't been presented anything.
I guess I'm thinking as, even as the board chair, is it something, even if you were going to do that, would it need to go to the personnel committee of the whole or just have the personnel committee look at it? I guess that's,
I mean, I guess if that's the route you want to go with too, that's fine. We can go to just the personnel committee.
does anyone else have any feelings on that? Or?
Mr. Chair, with the Commissioner Vetch pulling this, with the concerns we've had within the Sheriff's Department restructuring with the business manager and all this, and all the talk surrounding it, in my opinion, it'd be a good idea to sit, for all of us to get a clear understanding what's, with the reorganization, everything, to get more of it, what's going on here, because part of it transpired before Commissioner Vetch came on, and just to make sure there's no more surprises, misinformation, misspeak, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that we're all clear on what's going on here. So for that, I think it's a good thing, just so we have that peace of mind, so everybody knows that we're looking into everything that's going on here, because it's just one of those things that we need to be clear on what's going on. We need to know with reorganization, what's going on, what's needed,
And Commissioner Potter, I'm okay with that. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't do this, because then I don't want to make it look like the board here is micromanaging the sheriff's office either, but maybe we could do this where we just hold off on this position request and have just have a committee of the whole where the sheriff came in and kind of gave us a little update, maybe. I don't think that would be out of line, and then in including this.
And Mr. Chair, that's what, we'd have to have the, sheriff there,
Absolutely.
for the city department, and if that would give us some clarity about positions, and I think committee of the whole, I don't think this is something for just personnel committee, but it would be at least some informational that you're talking about. Get some information on structuring and that.
Well, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners, it's just, command staff positions don't open up very often. And this is one of the few opportunities with the retirement that we could actually discuss the need. And this is just an opportunity that I want the sheriff to at least come back to us, and I feel it's a good opportunity for him to describe the management and what these duties are within some of these positions, so we can actually, I just want some justification so that we know that we're being good fiscal stewards with the money over in the sheriff's department.
I'll make a motion to set up a time based off of the sheriff's schedule. So I would have to say it'd probably have to come to the next meeting to do some scheduling, unless we can do it.
I guess the thought that comes to mind without talking to any of the stakeholders here, I do know we have this 902 item that's to schedule a committee of the whole. Also, I would just say maybe we could do both on the same day, depending on what date gets scheduled, and then see if that works for everybody. It's just as an idea.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Kelly, are you talking about a regular committee day, the 14th of June, perhaps, or?
I don't know, perhaps. I just know we'll have discussion later in the meeting about scheduling a committee of the whole, and I thought maybe since you're all together, we could add this as another item. But we haven't got to that 902 item as of yet, so.
Because Commissioner Potter won't be here the week of June 4th, right?
No.
Or that
the first
June,
week.
June 2nd, yeah,
Yep.
first week in June.
There's a very good distinct chance I won't be either, so,
Okay.
depending how jury duty plays.
Well,
And Mr. Chair, I can reach out to the sheriff if an org chart would be helpful in advance of this meeting or something along those lines. I can maybe get some dialogue from him with that.
Don't you have an org chart there?
I do have an org chart here. I just kind of understanding, I just want him to explain to me the duties. I guess that it's more than an org chart. I just want to kind of an understanding of
that's what?
the responsibilities, especially because this one kind of falls inside of that administration piece that we just opened up, a lot of changes. I just kind of wanted a better understanding of where this person or position falls in within the new structure in terms of duties.
So do we have a motion then?
Yep, I made the motion
Yes.
to contact the sheriff to set up a time.
Okay, and like Lee said, it may coincide with another meeting.
Perhaps.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and second to set up a meeting that would hopefully coincide with the upcoming meeting with the sheriff. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries, so always nice to talk with the sheriff, so. All right, timed agenda. Man, we're running late today, huh? Mr. Bob Hevala, our auditor treasurer. Go ahead, Bob.
Good morning, Board. Speaking of committees of the whole, actually, I'd like to call a committee of the whole meeting to discuss the ditch coordinator position. We've met without the board, talking about the best structure that we could come up with for this position, and we feel it's important now to present it to the full board. As we've changed the way we're going to attack the maintenance and improvement and repairs of ditches, I think it's important that we talk about this position to make sure we have the full direction from the board. So we're recommending Tuesday, June 13th. If we could follow the board meeting with a committee of the whole, that's our recommendation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
in the event that the,
Board of Equalization.
yeah, Board of Equalization would run over on Monday, we do have that scheduled for 11 o'clock that morning if needed.
Yeah,
The
I believe
chance-
we have one person, or it could be, yes, it is.
It would be unlikely.
Right
It would
now, we
be
just have
unlikely,
one person
but-
signed up.
We can make it at 1 o'clock.
Well, no, we could schedule it also for 11 o'clock, and then if we needed it, we can bump this meeting back.
Back a little bit, okay.
So that would be,
I guess, Mr. Chair, I would advise that we set it for a different time, even if it's 11:05,
11:15 or
okay.
11:15 or 11:30.
11:05?
11:05, yeah.
Is this something that would be more than a 45-minute meeting?
I don't think so. It depends on how well you think we thought it out.
Okay. I was thinking that perhaps 8 would be okay, but maybe not, in case,
That might be pushing it.
yeah. Okay.
We have an attorney involved in it, so
Let's-
chances are it's going to take a little longer
So
than.
11:05 on.
let's do the 11:05, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set that meeting for 11:05 on June 13th.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hewsom, second by Commissioner Vetch. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion
Board, we'll let
carries.
Virgil know it starts at 11:25, so.
Okay. That's good. Okay, and our Chief Deputy Attorney, Mr. Brian Oslison.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. You should have in your packets 2 proposals for professional appraisal services. These are both property tax appeals. The first one is a 2-page proposal from Dwight Dolan. This has to do with the Coborn's, so-called Coborn's anchored retail properties, which is a number of parcels surrounding the Coborn store in Albertville. It does not include the supermarket. They're all separate taxable parcels. They all could be sold separately, but they happen to be owned by the same firm at this point in time. Hence, the the separate numbers for 5 separate appraisals. I would note that Mr. Dolan, we've worked with him before, number one, and secondly, that Tony's office has done a good job of, I was in a few weeks ago with landscape structures. I think there were 7 or 8 parcels, all with separate appraisal numbers. That case has now been settled with fairly minimal cost after a site visit to the property. And so we continue to do our best to try and minimize costs. The second proposal is from Paul Bakken, who we've also worked with before. This is for the Ridgeview Medical Center building in Delano. That building has been added on to a couple of times since 2010, and Mr. Bakken's proposal is in there. So we're requesting approval for hiring both of these individuals.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Deloiden, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Frank.
And Mr. Greg Picard, our Veteran Service Officer. Good morning, Greg. Good morning.
Morning.
This is an easy one. I've got to go to San Diego, California for the final national CVSO training. The National Association of CVSO Officers is the national organization that kind of oversees us here in the county, in the state of Minnesota. So it's a week-long in San Diego, which sounds pretty good, but my previous job, I spent most of the last year in San Diego. I didn't leave anything there that I wanted, so it's not a pleasure trip, trust me.
La Jolla.
Right. So it's just for a week, be like,
And Mr. Chair, this is part of your the training for your VSO.
yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this is the national one, so this will basically finalize my training of what the state can do for me as training events, and then the rest of it is upon me of just doing the job.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead. I'll second it.
It should be covered by the grant.
And yeah, and that's the other thing. It will be, all the travel costs and everything will be covered by the 2017 grant that just got approved.
So you'll make the motion to approve that?
I'll approve out-of-state travel for Greg Picard.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And second by Commissioner Hewson. The only thing I just say, yeah, the more training you get, the better you're going to be able to serve and help our veterans, so
Absolutely.
totally support it. All right.
You're just saying that because you're a veteran.
Well, maybe, but I might say it otherwise, too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Item for consideration, we're going to go with Mike's item first, I guess, so.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have this, the I-94 Coalition and amongst other coalitions that working hard to improve the I-94 corridor, and we've always been working on federal support for this, and it's been tough to come by. The state legislature, as we know, is kind of a head scratcher whether we're going to get something out of that. And supposedly they approved a budget last night, but the minuscule amount that's going to go for transportation is not going to cover nowhere near what the needs are. But this here, we have both senators and a numerous amount of representatives have signed on a letter addressing Secretary Cho, trying to advance the critical improvements along 94 corridor west. And so with this being done and the fact that all of them signed their names on this, it's kind of nice. I think it's incumbent upon us to send a follow-up letter thanking them for their support in this, because these are the things that need to be done to get that process moving forward. And what I seek, Mr. Chair, is authorization for us to sign. We can sign it individually or as a full board, whichever way you want to do this, to each member that signed this, and let them know that we appreciate their support on this matter.
Okay, so then there would be a letter similar to the template one here?
Correct.
Addressed to each one of the
Each
members that
individual.
signed it?
Correct.
And then did you want the board chair to sign it, or what? I mean, I'm okay with that too, however you want to do
We
it.
can have all of us sign it, the board chair. There's 3 of our districts in Wright County actually touch the 94 corridor, so that's why I was thinking it's good for,
I think everybody should sign it.
Yeah,
Okay,
for all of us, just because I think it'd be better that way. It's because then you have full board support, so the message comes through loud and clear. And this also coincides, if we get this, my trip to DC, a good follow-up for this. It's kind of the next reason to talk to you and to keep it going.
Okay.
And hopefully we're successful with this.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion authorizing a letter to each of the Congress persons
and Senator.
and senators, and that we will each sign the letters.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Vetch. And further discussion? Seeing
Mr.
none?
Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And also I want to take this moment to thank Andy Burmeister from Lockridge Grindle Now, and that is our lobbyist out in DC for this. Anybody who's met him, he's driven. He knows the system. He knows how to get around. He's worked really hard on our behalf to get this forward, and I just want to acknowledge the hard work that Andy Burmeister's done on our behalf, and the members of the coalition, 94 coalition out there. Thank you.
Okay. All right, with that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous, so. All right, and then we'll have the office to get that written up, and we get everybody to sign it.
Do you want to work the closed session then, or I would maybe do advisory committees, and then we could end the meeting and go in the back room, do the
Why
closed session?
don't we do that?
Okay.
That'd be better, right?
For everyone in attendance here?
We'll do the advisory committee minutes in the,
Finish up the rest of the business.
okay.
Because I don't anticipate an action item coming back for an open meeting today. Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So advisory committee, advisory board updates. Does anyone want to begin?
Well, I'll just say that down at the state capitol, they did not disappoint us. They ended up going into overtime, as we all expected was going to be the case. So it's nice to know that they don't disappoint at all.
Well, it sounds like they actually made some kind of a little agreement anyway, a compromise at the end, so.
Mr. Chair, I had a township meeting, and otherwise, my other meetings were nothing really to share, but, yeah.
Okay. There?
Clearwater Watershed District on Wednesday night. Most of it was just reviewing kind of current projects and looking using drones possibly to do some of their aerial review of the wetlands. Also, I'm working, still waiting for Cole to send me some information. They're interested in possibly getting ongoing changes with lots within the district from planning and zoning. Cole's going to send me some information to go bring down to Sean to see if that's something we can work out, but that's still in its early stages yet, so. Other than that,
Sounds good. Mike, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last Tuesday, the library, Great River Regional Library met, and it was part of there's no current personnel, but the financial part of it was, the budget is pretty much at a zero baseline budgeting. It's pretty much a zero increase. The increase Wright County is going to see is because our tax capacity percentage went up. We exceeded St. Cloud now. So, or excuse me, Stearns County. So we, of the 3 leg of the stool, we now have the, it's population, tax capacity, and users. Now we passed them on the tax capacity, so that raised our percentage of that formula. Was it like $30,000, $28,000, something like that?
Our tax capacity is higher than St. Cloud.
Then Stearns County.
Stearns County?
Keep in mind, most of St. Cloud is in Benton and Sherburne County.
Oh, I keep forgetting
River's
that.
right
I
there.
keep forgetting St. Cloud is
Yeah,
split
so-
up.
Three
And that
counties.
makes that.
Last year, I informed the board that we were getting close, and that this year we'd overtake them, and yes, we did overtake them on that. Population will probably be at least a decade out, if not a little more, before we overtake them there. So this is just part of the formula, and so that's the only increase we're going to see there. The rest of it has been pretty static. We've seen some savings in efficiencies on a lot of retirements, and the new ones starting into the lower, and some positions that were not filled and some efficiencies that were noted in other places. We did put money in for some new vehicles, and then we saw the repair bill go down by pretty much the same amount as the cost of the vehicles. A couple of those vans were pretty tired. So I don't see that going anywhere. We do have 3 libraries within the county that haven't signed the library service agreement. Had the operating agreement, they're scattered all the way back from, like, say, the late 90s. And they're trying to corral them all together so everybody's got this, working on the same document. And so far, we got St. Michael, Rockford, and Delano. It's verbiage mostly that they're doing. I've worked with Buffalo on their verbiage already, and Monticello, and they've changed it because they're worried about the verbiage and the intent and the verbiage, and it's one of those things we've got to keep working out. But we've got over 3/4 of them, the whole system, are already signed in. It's just a matter of a few of them want to change a little bit of the verbiage, and it's tough to have multiple documents out there. You want one consistent document, and that's the challenge we're facing right now.
Well, it's good that they're trying to, get everybody on the same page.
And we just got to alleviate the fears that there's a hidden message in there somewhere, because our idea is to provide service, not to have a gotcha moment on you didn't replace a light bulb, so you don't get a library anymore, nothing like that. But in each city, when they bring it to their attorney, of course, what attorneys do to documents. That's what they go to school for, destroy them. But anyway, so we're working on that, and otherwise with the library board is, we have the new member from Stearns County this year, Lee Lensmeyer. He was there. He's been up Stearns County for a long time. He was on the board, termed out, now he's back. And I have learned real quick he is the de facto leader of that whole bunch up there, because he's got, it's like an E.F. Hutton commercial. He talks, they listen. So it's quite impressive to watch him work, I guess, and the influence he has over the rest of them up there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. And then next up, Mr. Greg Kreiser, would you want to come up and speak to the item here?
We have to.
We have to go into closed session.
Well,
Thank you,
just
Mr. Chair. At this point in time, we'll be doing this action in your capacity as a drainage authority for County Ditch 38, but I would ask that the county board move to closed session to discuss pending litigation in the matter of Wright County Drainage Authority for County Ditch 38 versus A. Graham Sonas and L&B Sonas, court file number 86CV172222. I think that's 4 twos. So.
And should we adjourn this meeting or just?
I think it would be best to adjourn and just go to the back room rather than keeping the streaming going just to come back and adjourn.
All right, so we'll take can we put that all in one? Have a motion to go into closed session and adjourn, or?
I think we could.
I guess I could just adjourn it. So we'll have a motion here. I'll entertain to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion.
To go into closed session and adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Vetch, a second by Commissioner Hewsome. And actually, it will just be to go into closed session, then I'll adjourn.
Adjourn?
Because if somebody wanted to discuss this, they could, but they can't discuss the adjournment. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, and then I will adjourn the meeting at 9:28.
Thank you.